Good. Okay, here we
Oh, thank
are.
you. Do, 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 do.
Diddly-diddly-loo.
Welcome everyone to episode 4 of Millennial Mom Thoughts.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
That's the first time I've heard you say that today.
Uh-huh, definitely did not make us re-record. Not at all. Never, ever,
Not at
ever.
all. Nope, this is live. Well, not live for people listening, live for us.
hmm
Well, Helen, what are we
Yeah.
talking about today?
Today, we are going to be talking about wait until eighth and how to navigate this thing when, for example, family of your child's friends might have different screen rules, how to spread this message, how to have these conversations, and also just more on what is wait until eighth, how did it come about, and then, yeah, how we kind of see this in our lives or, yeah,
Yeah,
and
in
kind of
our
working
in our
off.
community.
In our exactly, exactly. But before we really get into that today, I wanted to take a moment to check in kind of on the status of this podcast now that, at the time of recording, we will have released episodes 1 and 2. We will be releasing episode 3 and now recording this, which should come out right as school is starting as well. So
Yeah.
thoughts, Jordan, on how this thing is going? What's reception been like? What's your experience been so far?
I mean, the fact that that little badge came up and said 50 streams and downloads, I thought that was pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
for 2 episodes. I have no idea what an average number is or a typical number, but
Don't
I'm feeling
care.
like don't care. Yeah, actually do not care, but excited that there
Yes.
are 50. I will say I'm probably like 2 or 3 of those.
Same.
But because I did click them on each of the platforms.
Good for
So
you.
maybe I don't count, but yeah, that just means more than you and me and our
Mm-hmm.
parents are,
Mm-hmm.
are listening to it. But I feel like it's been a good reception so far.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who's said, "Hey, I listened to your podcast and that was fun."
Yeah, you said someone just today
Yeah,
approached you
just
at the park, but you didn't know if they meant this
well,
podcast
I know.
or your other podcast appearance. Tell us about that.
Yes. So that was a brand new experience for me being interviewed, certainly by someone I didn't know beforehand, which discovered was your teacher.
Yes, you
At,
did once throw my shoe out a window.
oh
So,
no,
yeah.
in anger or
No,
as a
just I
joke?
was
As
I had my legs crossed and was like dangling my little sandal, like,
oh no,
flapping my foot back and forth as a nervous child does.
yeah.
And the next thing I knew, Mr. VandenBerg grabbed my sandal and chucked it out the window. And then a kid who I guess I won't say his name on in the podcast airwaves, but I distinctly remember who ran out of the classroom and down the stairs and out the building to go
Oh my
retrieve it. And
gosh.
then that kid got in trouble.
Oh no.
It was like, yeah, but
Oh
you also
no.
threw a shoe out the window. It was wild
Wow.
times.
I wonder
I'm
if
more
he
in junior high school. Yeah,
remembers this incident.
I kind of hope not.
Yeah, I'll follow up to my
Yes.
interview with him. I'll have to ask him,
hmm
do you
The
recall a
hard-hitting
time
questions. Yes,
when you threw
yes.
a student's shoe out the window? It's really funny. Um,
So anyway, but you did
yeah.
fabulous. I
Well,
feel
thank
like
you.
I
Thank you.
learned so much. I learned so much about your life. I feel like more than I've ever known. I didn't know that you were initially in marriage and family
Yeah.
counseling and things
Yeah.
like that. And then also just hearing more about this whole project of, or just the project of wait until eighth, but also
Yeah.
the questions that you're asking. It was really cool. And I'm very proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you. It was really fun to do.
Yeah.
I remember texting you day of, and being like, okay, I'm actually ridiculously nervous about doing this, and had the urge to, which I wouldn't have done, but wanted to be like, is there a reason I can back out of this? Because this is making me anxious.
hmm
But then it was just a conversation,
Yeah.
and obviously I don't know him like I know you, but it
hmm
felt like it's just a conversation, and I kind of forgot. at times, oh, like this is being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be shared. Not that I said anything, controversial, but um that it was just fun. But
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there was so much more that we could have talked about,
Yeah.
even about Wait Until Eighth and kind of just feelings about it and hopes for it.
Mm-hmm.
I had shared on the episode that a goal, and I felt like a realistic goal that I had. Well, maybe I should back up and get kind of into the meat of this one of like
Mm-hmm.
what is Wait Until
Yeah.
Eighth?
Yep. That
On
sounds
about
great.
what is Wait Until Eighth, or and then someone listening might have no idea what that is. So basically, Wait Until Eighth is a pledge that any parent, and you only need to be one parent in the household that does it, can take online at waituntil8th.org, and that's a number eight. So waituntil8th.org, that says, I promise to delay giving my child a smartphone until at least the end of eighth grade. And what this is not is a pledge saying I will never give my kid any phone. I think there was sometimes some discussion and like, well, my kid needs a phone because we have to communicate. There's sports and activities and just anything in general that you need to get in contact with your kid about. But it's the distinction is a smartphone. So an internet based phone
Mm-hmm.
is delaying until at least the end of eighth grade. And kind of the origin of this, it's parent led. This is not something that you have to like pay for or sign up and be part of. Like you there's not specific rules that you have to follow other than I'm going to, hopefully, the goal is to delay giving a smartphone until eighth grade, because there's so much pressure when it feels like, or it is, a whole school of kids have smartphones and
Mm-hmm.
your kid is the only one that doesn't. And so there was a group of moms that kind of started this movement in Texas. And oh, I pulled up her name because I knew I would forget. The founder of Wait Until Eighth, Brooke Shannon, or she's now the executive director of Wait Until Eighth, lives in Texas, just started to notice. I think it was either her or someone else in the group in the beginning said, I watched the group of middle school kids leaving school and they were all walking out together, but they were all staring at their phone. So they were next to each other, but they weren't together. They weren't talking to each other. There wasn't engagement with one another. And she just thought, how sad.
Mm-hmm.
How sad is this? And I don't want this for my small children. And so it just grew. So it was just parents talking to other parents about, hey, I don't like this. I don't like what I'm seeing. And I'm not going to give my kid a smartphone because I want their childhood to be a childhood for longer and not one that's lived on a device. And it just kind of grew. It just kind of took off from there. And so now it's, spread certainly nationally. And I didn't find out about it until kind of recently. I know we've talked multiple times now about Anxious Generation, that
Mm-hmm.
book. And through that and resources from Jonathan Haidt that he's put out, I found Wait Until Eighth, and I thought this is good. This is a good thing, and this is something that felt like possible. This is something I felt like I could do. And then when I emailed Wait Until Eighth and just said, is there a chapter in Morton, Illinois? They said no. And I just thought, okay, you asked. And when they said there isn't one, that means you have to do it. Because if it's not you, like, somebody needs to do it. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
needs to take the lead. And I I guess I was bold enough to think that I could be the one to do that. Um, but I knew I didn't want to do it alone because it can't just be me. So maybe I started a conversation, but it's gonna take multiple people to get together. So the whole idea is, a pledge becomes live at a school when 10 families in the same grade level at the same school sign up and say, I'm doing this. And then those 10 families or more get emailed who they are, which I think is pretty cool. So it's not anything that's like sending you a whole bunch of messages, or it's just here's who is doing this along
Mhm.
with you so that when your kid comes home and says, hey, everybody in my grade has, your third grader, your fourth grader, your fifth, whatever, says everybody is getting a phone. Well, if you've signed the pledge and your pledge is active, you can say, actually, here's a group of kids, they're not getting it either. And then ultimately the goal is to hopefully have at least a live pledge in every grade level at every school.
Mhm.
So to go back to what my realistic goal is that by the end of this school year, I would love to see at least, certainly more, but at least one live pledge at one of the elementary schools. I
Mhm.
think that would be really, really cool to see. Um, and I have to wait and find out. So as the
Mhm.
chapter lead for
Mhm.
Morton, they'll send me emails. I think it's every other week if I remember right. It starts up again here in August,
Okay.
of when they start to send that out of how many pledges are signed up.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited to share that out. So I made a Facebook group. So if you're listening to this and
Mhm.
you're in Morton, you can join the Facebook group. It's wait until 8th or hyphen Morton, comma IL. Um, and there's just one. So
Mhm.
I did not check at time of recording at present, but it's a basically about a month old now. I started it, I
Yeah,
think, a
you're
month
right.
ago,
You're right. Yeah.
and there are 68
Ooh,
members.
that's up.
There are 68, so that's
That's
pretty cool.
fantastic. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd love to see that grow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I have several thoughts and several questions. One of those being like, you said back to just the image of like the kids walking out of school all looking down at their phones and how sad that is, but also
Yeah,
as we know, like how dangerous that is
totally.
too, just from everything we know about the impacts on mental health and then also the dangers of the World Wide Web and knowing that kids are kids and they will find things, they will get
Yeah,
into spaces that were not made for them or
right.
that are targeting them to get them into even
Exactly.
further mischief and trouble, intentionally or unintentionally too. It's just all out there and it's so
Yeah.
hard to control it. So here is one potential way to at least curb that. And I think the other thing I really appreciate about this initiative is that, in my mind, my kind of goal is just really starting, which we have started a conversation and continuing this conversation so
Yeah.
that when, for example, the other kid goes home that does have the smartphone and they say, "Well, hey, this kid doesn't have a phone." Like that is also a conversation at home as well that
Yeah.
just makes hopefully helps families be more critical of their smartphones and what that looks like in their family. Because that's, where I come on these things too, is like I try not to judge any family for the
Yes.
decisions they make, because
Yes.
there's also certainly situations where the smartphone does make the most sense, whether that's for certain life circumstances or it's
Right.
it's financially or whatever. Because
Right.
sometimes you get the better deal by doing, like
Oh my
I
gosh. Yes.
totally see
Yeah.
all that. Like, why would I buy a more expensive piece of junkier technology? Like
Right.
so I
Right.
get all of that, but I think it's really about helping families at like just question their decisions and have those conversations where maybe then they can set some other rules about when and where that phone is to be used or
Yeah.
how they should be engaging with it or how to be critical of the times when they catch themselves just looking down instead of looking around. Yeah, but you, Jordan, of course, know much more about this than I do as the local chapter lead. So, or is that
Sounds
your official
very,
title? I don't
I mean,
know.
I don't know that there is an official title. It sounds very formal
I
and
like,
fancy, but
okay. Okay. If you
uh
have something better, let me know,
the
aficionado, the
yeah.
extraordinaire,
Oh, I
we'll
like where
just
this is
keep adding
going.
on to it.
Please do. Please do.
But in such capacity, what, are kind of the main points that people should be aware of, or what are the kinds of things you bring up when you talk with other parents about this?
Well, what I like is that on their website, which is, where I've gotten most of my information to share, even within that Facebook group or related articles, they do a really good job of putting out these key points, which I am going to read off their list, that talks about what should you say to other parents. And I think the part that I like to stress is, and you already brought it up about just not feeling like you're judging someone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a, I feel like it is kind of a sensitive
Mm-hmm.
topic. And you don't ever want someone to feel like you're shaming them or
Right.
judging them. And it's totally not that. I also think that there's maybe even just a lack of knowledge that this is such a problem because it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of become the norm that, oh yeah, here's your phone. Like you just start with a smartphone,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have to be that way. And I like that Wait Until Late also provides alternatives, which I'll get into, alternative options for communicating, devices. But so here's kind of the key points to take away. If you are someone who's also wanting to do this and then talk to other families or parents about this, it's that this does not have to be the norm that every kid gets a smartphone. Right now, the average age that a kid gets a smartphone is 10, which is so, that's fifth grade.
Mm-hmm.
It's so young. And in my mind, I think a 10-year-old, do you want a 10-year-old to have full access, whether you have safety apps and or safety blocks or not? There are definitely ways to get around those. They're not foolproof. Do you want them to have the access to the full internet, and do you want the full internet to have access to them? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of my first thought. And then smartphones, they were not designed for children. These are not made for kids. They're made to be addictive. I I personally struggle with that. We've already even talked about that before. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am not yet sharing my screen time,
Someday
because
I'll get it out of you.
maybe when it's gone down. Yeah, when I'm not ashamed of my screen time number. But these are not meant for children. They are designed for adults, and so they're powerful. They're persuasive. They are addictive in nature. And if you add apps and fun things, like, of course, a smartphone's going to be more entertaining than anything else going on because it's meant to be that way. And these are young, moldable, very impressionable minds. So they're not meant for kids because they're built or supposed to be for adults, and they're addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And then kids that are on smartphones are struggling. There's research now to back it up. And I remember saying on Ben's podcast something about research. And I said, you know what? Actually, I honestly don't care what research exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there could be data that comes out that says, you know what? Actually, smartphones aren't that bad for you. We got it wrong. Sorry. Like, I
Doubt
wouldn't
it,
care.
but
I know.
yeah.
Yeah, totally not going to happen, by the way. But I wouldn't care
Mm-hmm.
because I know that it's just not something that I want my child to have to be exposed to because of the overwhelming negative effects that come from that. It's linked to anxiety, it's linked to depression, self-harm, which is so scary, and then also loneliness. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if that's even talked about as much, but I think it's kind of marketed as a tool to get you connected,
Mm-hmm.
but really it's isolating. And kids have enough that they have to worry about in their childhoods to add this device that is designed to addict them and then leave them lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also, just the other point that they make, which I think about too, is it blocks real life experiences. So talking face to face with someone rather than, typing on a screen or putting a silly video up, like real face to face communication, which I know is funny to say as we are staring at each
I
other on
know.
a screen, but it is, I mean, we are like, as much as you can on a Zoom making eye
Mm-hmm.
contact. But yeah, everyone, she just made her eyes very, very big. I see you. But yeah, those face to face time spent together and
Mm-hmm.
outdoors
Mm-hmm.
and not on a video game or a screen or whatever it is, and exploring. I mean, that's what
Mm-hmm.
childhood is. It's exploring and learning, screwing up, making mistakes, and learning from those too. So
Mm-hmm.
Smartphones can block those actual experiences that are meant to happen in childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I think a common misconception is that if you are doing this, you are anti-technology. And that could not be further from the truth. As a self-proclaimed like tech nerd, uh, I am just for my kids, I'm thinking about a slower approach to technology. So slow tech, not, I mean, we still watch TV, that kind of stuff. They still have access to, I mean, we have the Google Home, which I've brought up my feelings about, but so it's not that we have no technology in the home and I will never let them use a phone. It's not anything like that. It's just the smartphone is such a different device that did not exist in childhoods, before now,
Mm-hmm.
um, that it's easing into it in a smart way, in a thoughtful way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then just the fact that there's strength in numbers. I mean, that's kind of why the pledge exists. It might sound silly to like, why are you, why are you signing a pledge? But
Mm-hmm.
it's just to kind of make a public statement within your community, your small school community. Hey, this is something I'm doing, and it's nice to know that there are other people doing this too, so that you don't feel alone. And then hopefully, that ultimately, when more and more people hear about it, and I would think see the positives that come from it, more and more will start to do it. Um, so what I do like that on their website, waituntil 8th.org, they have a list of phone and watch options that are alternatives to the smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is helpful because, yeah, again, like if you've got an active kid that, has all these, I think you mentioned you had a phone, was it like seventh
Mm-hmm.
grade? Yeah. Kids are involved in lots of things. And so it is helpful to, hey, my practice ended early
Mm-hmm.
or it's going later, or after practice I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
so and so's, like this is what's going on. And so having that ability just to check in is totally fine and necessary. I imagine that's something I'm going to do too.
Mm-hmm.
um so I
Yeah, because
like
it
that.
is, I was thinking about that too, because it also isn't that my siblings weren't also in activities. Because I had mentioned that like they got theirs when they were 16 because they were
Right.
driving, but I got mine in seventh grade because I did basketball. But my sister played basketball too, so,
Yeah.
but I have to think that it also has something to do with the fact that like the kind of phasing out of landlines as well,
Yeah,
that like,
totally.
okay, you can't just depend
Yeah.
on the fact that there will be a phone
At
available
somebody's
at
house,
somebody's
it's
house,
like,
exactly.
yeah.
Because I was also thinking about when I babysat like a number of summers ago when I was living in Indiana. I babysat a couple kids for the summer, and I still have so many contacts saved in my phone as like such and such's mom because that's how her
Yeah.
friends had to communicate with me. So I
Right.
have all these random moms in Bloomington, Indiana, in
Oh,
my
that's
phone
funny.
right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a side thought because I was listening back on our episode and I was like, wait, why? I don't know.
Well, and
But
and I think that's even become kind of a norm because I mean, when
mhm.
I was a young kid, like I didn't have a phone, and yeah, we
Right.
did. We talked
Yeah.
about when we each got our phone, and I
Hmm.
was like your sister with it being around the time that I started
Hmm.
driving. But that's also because it just wasn't the norm
Right.
then. Like
Yeah.
this wasn't a major thing because
Hmm.
there was you go over to somebody's house or you call first their
Hmm.
landline and hey, so and so's mom is
Hmm.
is Helen home?
Right.
Like,
Or you're riding your bike around the neighborhood and your friend is outside, so you stop
right,
by, go inside to call, hey, I'm gonna hang out at her house for a while.
totally.
That kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
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 So I
So
like that.
anyway, how do then how do these kids do it today? Because I don't know if without smartphones, how can kids still stay in touch with their parents?
Well, I will say I've started to see some communities, like some articles pop up that I've read about how the landline is making a
Oh,
comeback.
all right.
There's and I think there is something to having a kid talk on the phone
Hmm.
that's kind of a lost art. I don't know if I can say art, but or a
Hmm.
lost skill.
Hmm.
I feel like just in my own personal experience with students, there is so much anxiety surrounding talking on the
Mm-hmm.
phone,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't relate to, because that's what you had to do. Like, you had to call people and you had
Mm-hmm.
to talk to their mom or dad first because they
Mm-hmm.
would answer the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had to ask for your friend. You had to talk to an adult first. But there have been multiple occasions, when talking with students, that I've, like, thinking, for example, they forgot their College Board password,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in their name, and even their parent can't call for
Mm-hmm.
them. Like, they have to be the one to call. And so I've looked, helped them look up the number, and we walk through how to
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
with this person. And there's a lot of anxiety surrounding
Yeah.
just that,
Yeah.
what I take as a simple thing.
I mean, I'm
Um,
not gonna lie. I have been known to like rehearse my calls before I order a pizza or something, and then end up calling and
yeah.
be like, "Hi, do you guys have any food?" But
Ma'am, you
I
called
will.
a pizza restaurant.
I
Yes, we
know. You
have
guys, do you
food.
guys have pizza? But working like a customer service job certainly like
Yeah,
that helped me get over that when I had
totally.
to answer phones and talk to strangers all the time. But anyway,
But
I
I
do see
do
that
think
in
it's
kids too.
good. I think it's good for kids to talk to other kids on the
Hmm
phone.
And there's
I
something special too of like having a phone conversation because
Yeah.
it's hard to distract yourself with anything else when you're talking on the phone. Like
Yeah.
you can't, you're not watching something else. I don't know. Like there is something special of just spending some time, like
Yeah,
that
certainly.
intimacy of just like talking to one other person and
Yeah.
doing nothing else.
Catching
Yeah.
up on whatever's going
Yeah.
on, or
Yeah.
making plans. Hey, we're gonna get
hmm
together this weekend. Or
hmm
I have fairly vivid memories of sitting on, because we had a long cord on the phone in the kitchen at my old house, when I was a kid, and I would stretch it as far as it would possibly go to my bedroom, or I would sit on the washer and dryer was right outside the kitchen, and so I would
That's
sit on
funny.
that and have conversations. What's funny is, in this moment, just now in my head, I need to figure out what year this was. I was a third grader. I don't know, maybe fourth grade. A girl that was in my class called me specifically to tell me, this is not funny, but that Tupac had died. Like, that
Oh.
was like, my little third grade or fourth grade self is taking a phone call. I don't know why she knew, but she felt compelled enough to call and tell
Jordan
me.
needs to
Like,
know.
Jordan needs to
Wow.
know. And she broke the news. I didn't know. Anyways, that just now popped into my
You
head.
didn't get
So
an Apple News alert on your
no,
watch or
that's
something.
right. There
Wow.
were
Wow.
no news alerts. So, yep, sitting
Well,
on the washing machine, get a call from a girl in my class. Jordan, I just found out that
oh my
Tupac had died.
gosh.
Anyways, so that kind of stuff is not it's not happening, I guess, today with
And this
kids.
was years after Tupac had died. I'm just
No, yeah.
kidding.
Well, there's always the conspiracy that he's
Yeah,
actually
it's
still
true. It's
alive.
true.
Anyways,
Yeah.
don't go down that rabbit
Yeah,
hole,
you'll have to
people.
call her
Don't do it.
back.
Yeah. I wish I could remember who she was. Um,
Hmm.
anyways,
Anyway,
all of that to
all the
say,
same.
um, I like this pledge because it is parent led,
Hmm
and it's it's community building. I mean, I hope, even with the Facebook group, which I kind of shared with you, off podcast, like, I don't know, I don't want to run a Facebook group. Um, I don't want that to be like the main source of conversation. I want these to happen in person, um, in real life. And
hmm
so I want to share relevant resources inside the group to what this movement is all about.
hmm
And for anybody that joins, it's maybe even on the fence or just wants to, like, see what's going on, like, share information as to why it's beneficial and why
hmm
it's something that can be helpful,
hmm
for your kids. I also think it's helpful to know that you could be a family that has given your kid a smartphone, and it's okay to walk that back. It will be hard. Like, I'm not going to say that that will be an easy thing.
hmm
I wouldn't assume that it's like, hey, so sorry, let me take that back, and they're just okay with it. But I do see more and more that's become a thing too. Like we gave them a smartphone, we didn't like what we saw, and their personality changed. Like they were this happy go lucky kid, and then things changed, and they can
Hmm.
kind of pinpoint it to we gave them a smartphone with fully good intentions. It's not like
Hmm.
anyone I think is giving their smartphone to a kid and saying, "Oh man, I this is going to destroy them, and I guess we just got to watch and see what happens." Like no one does that thinking that.
Hmm.
But I think there's just so much scary stuff that very, very likely will happen.
Hmm.
Um, anyways, yeah.
Yeah. On the note of, this in Morton right now, this being like an online, a Facebook group
Yeah.
community, do you have any vision? Like, would you envision any sort of like in-person meetups, like organizing something like that?
I've
Or
thought
is it,
about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do think about the fact that it is next to impossible to make friends as an adult. And how,
It's
like,
hard. It's really
and
hard.
you've kind of, you told me this was going to happen and it totally is. You make like your library friends, like, okay,
Yep.
these are the moms that I see at all the same programs, and then you
Yep.
see them out at the park or whatever. Um, which is great, but I'll like just yeah, how to find like-minded people or people who you can learn alongside, and how to do that more than just here's an article that I maybe liked or commented on or
Yeah,
didn't, but I read it, but I didn't actually engage with, like how
exactly.
to move through that or beyond that as well.
I have thought about that. I don't at this moment know what
Hmm.
that would look like. And I've thought um about like where are places that I go regularly, and the
Hmm.
library is definitely one of them.
Hmm.
And we have such a great we have such a great
We
library,
really
and
do.
they just have so many great programs for kids. And
Hmm.
so I
And
did,
babies.
and
We're going
babies.
to tummy time painting next weekend.
Oh, I
They're doing
saw
the
that.
first.
That
I'm
looks so
so
cute.
pumped.
Yeah, I absolutely would have signed up for that
Uh-huh.
when Camden and Lily were babies. That is, I can't wait to see pictures.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry, go on.
no, that totally relevant. Plug for Morton Library because it's
Hmm.
amazing. But they have so many great programs, and so I did think, is there a way to somehow integrate this with? I mean, I haven't said anything specifically we just became Facebook friends, Alyssa and I,
Whoa,
the director of, she's super
dang.
nice.
Shout
Um,
out.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, not to not to like, hey, publicly announce it. Anyways, but I
It's
saw her.
it's Facebook official.
We're Facebook official friends. But I saw her on
Your
Friday
friend's
at,
gonna call.
yeah. Oh no.
Did
I
you
now
hear?
now I have to call her and tell her that Tupac has died. Like that's how we've become actual friends.
Okay,
Um
sorry, I'm done.
yeah.
Go.
So I had seen her on Friday. They do those Groove in the
Hmm.
Garden concerts, and we try to go to several of them because they're just fun to. Camden loves to run around. Well, Lily does too. Camden and Lily run around. They have little friends that they see. But she stopped me and said, I think she had listened to either part of it or was about ready to, and about the podcast from Ben. So I know that this is something that she's at least was on her, radar or had
Hmm.
seen. But I feel like the library is a good community building space,
Hmm.
and this just felt like maybe something that could get involved there.
Hmm.
And then I I certainly plan to join the PTO at
Hmm.
Lincoln. I already have all the meetings on my calendar, and thought that this would be a good thing to bring up. And then hopefully at the other elementary schools having it at their PTO too. I have no idea how often the if the PTO presidents even interact with each other at the different schools. I don't know how that works. Um, but that seems like a good way to just at least share this information with
Hmm.
other parents because they're going to these meetings because they care about what's going on in the school.
Hmm.
And I know they do great things within the school. I mean, good grief. I think back to just working at the high school and all of the things that the PTO did for
Hmm.
just the high school itself. So I know they're involved parents. They're parents that care about what's going on. So it just seemed
Hmm.
like a good fit. And that is a suggestion even that Wait Until Eighth says like here if you're looking for a starting point, like the PTO is a good
Hmm.
one to have. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think just spreading the message
Yeah.
that way and yeah, even just those little conversations with the
Hmm.
people you do see
Hmm.
on a regular basis, it does feel
Absolutely.
weird to bring it up like, "Hey, so have you thought about smartphones?" But I think there are ways that it can come up organically
Hmm.
um because it's everywhere.
Yes, you
Like
see things
you
and
just
you
see
notice
it
them. Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. Um, oh goodness, what was I gonna ask you, Jordan? I was gonna ask you, I feel like I had another question, but for, our any listeners we might have, which I know they're out there who aren't in our community,
Yeah.
what would you suggest to them? I mean, given the kind of role that you've taken on, what about someone who might be listening who doesn't live here but also cares about these things?
Well, first I think you can so if you're signing up online, it if you sign up and there is an active pledge, it would let you know, but
Mm,
if there's not, then it's totally worth just sharing with other parents that you know, like this is something I'm going to do. I signed this pledge and here's more about it or more information about it. And they have some pretty cool like social media tiles or
mm,
pictures that you can put like I signed the pledge, or they just have some nice eye-catching graphics that
mm,
obviously for good reason that you can put on your page to say like this is something I'm doing or my family's
mhm,
doing, and then maybe that could even prompt a conversation like what is this all about? But if you are looking at, I want to start something in my community that doesn't exist, kind of like I did, it's not something that is like so overwhelmingly time consuming or you're gonna get into it what you put or you're gonna get out of it, excuse me,
mhm,
what you put into it.
mhm,
And I went into this knowing that I won't have to put a whole lot of time into it because it's just getting this message out and then hopefully hoping that other people see it and want to talk about it too
mhm,
and talk about it with others, and then it just kind of organically spreads. So
mhm.
um, some people don't know that this exists. I mean, I don't think it's so big that everyone's like, oh yeah, wait until 8th. I've heard of that. Like I've had plenty
Mhm,
of people who've been like, what is this?
mhm,
I don't know what that is.
mhm,
And then several that certainly have known about it. So I think sharing the website is really helpful. Even talking about the Anxious Generation book,
mhm.
because that's all related to it. So I think those are good conversation starters. But it I'm just a regular I'm just a regular mom that is just this is something I'm passionate about because I see it for my kids,
Mhm,
and then even you and I have had conversations about what we see in our students,
mhm,
and kind of hopefully changes that can be made, and this is one realistic thing that can make a
mhm.
difference.
Yeah, 100%. And though you are a regular old mom or whatever you
Hey,
self-identified
I
as
didn't put
there.
old
Oh,
in
you
there,
didn't say
Helen.
old. I didn't. I'm so sorry.
Maybe
You
I did.
are. No, I don't think you did. I think I maybe
That one
you
hurt,
are
Helen.
you
Listen.
are oh, I'm
No,
so
I'm totally kidding.
sorry.
I call myself old.
What I'm trying to just transition into my fun little question I had for you, Jordan. You thought you were going to get out of it, but with this
Oh.
wait until eighth pledge, I thought it would be fun to ask you to share with us a snapshot of Jordan in the eighth grade. So
Oh
picture
man.
yourself, you're in your favorite class, you're wearing your favorite outfit, your favorite people are all around you. What's your hair doing? What color is your
Yikes.
trapper keeper? Take me to eighth grade in Carmel,
Okay.
Indiana.
Well, that would have been the 99, yeah, 99 2000 school year because 2001 was freshman year. So 1999, the the world didn't end. Y2K, all that. What am I wearing? Probably a Paul Frank t-shirt. which I still wear today. I
Mhm.
still wear Paul Frank t-shirts. I just ordered some from Target actually,
Amazing.
because I loved them then and have rediscovered my love for them today. My hair was very likely a hot mess because that had not gotten figured out yet. I have actually very curly hair that I straighten still. But back then I was like straightening it while wet
Yeah.
because
Oh, yes.
who did that? What is
Apparently eighth
wrong?
graders. That's what I
I
did in the eighth grade
know,
too.
but it
Yeah.
was like this hot and it would burn your neck. It was steaming. Yes. But I would do it with a curling iron because I didn't have a straightener yet, like an idiot. So I would pull it down. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm picturing my eighth grade yearbook picture where
Mm.
I would
Mm.
have the ball of hair,
Hmm.
ball of hair on top of my head, my messy bun. Um, I probably I think I was maybe wearing like a shirt from Abercrombie because that was like you were in
Hmm.
um if you had an Abercrombie and Fitch
I
shirt.
had one and I
Yeah,
wore it
I
about
think
once a
I had
week.
two.
Yeah.
I remember I had like a red and white checkered. It
Mm.
was like button up,
Mm.
and then I think I had
Or
one
ma-
that just said Abercrombie on the
I think
front.
mine, I'm thinking an American Eagle shirt that
Oh
I
yeah,
had. It was
yeah, that was
pink
a
with
thing
like
too.
yellow lettering. Yeah. And said
Yep.
American Eagle. So
Yeah,
so there were no doubts
yeah,
where this shirt was purchased off a clearance rack. The one time
totally
my mom let me go
labels.
in there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's like good grief. Talk about expensive. Anyways, yeah, so probably wearing that, listening to NSYNC
Hmm.
for sure. Sitting on my inflatable chair in my
Hmm.
bedroom with my cord phone that was covered in glitter stickers.
Amazing.
And listening to my CD player and probably not doing my homework because I wasn't that great of a student. Avoiding my homework.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's kind of interesting that I chose education when I wasn't all that great of a student, to be honest. Um, yeah, posters all over the wall, floor to ceiling of
Hmm.
NSYNC and
Hmm.
whoever else I was
Amazing.
listening to. Not Backstreet Boys.
Never ever.
Well, you had to like one or the other. But
Yeah,
secretly, I still knew the words to all the Backstreet
of
Boys
course.
songs
Yeah.
but publicly, I
Hmm.
was only
Hmm.
NSYNC,
Well,
diehard.
and this is not the topic for today, but I have learned that you like hosted an InSync like
Oh my
online
gosh.
newsletter or something. So that
Yeah. Yeah, that will
will
make
need
its
to
way in.
work. Yeah.
Don't know how
Yeah.
I did that, but
Yeah.
I did.
Hmm.
What was eighth grade Helen like?
Oh, just delightful. No.
I'm sure she was delightful.
You know what? She was becoming her delightful self. She was an awkward little I don't even know. Yeah, eighth grade, I was on the basketball team. I was in band, and I was adamant that I was not going to do marching band in high school. I thought I
Oh,
was going to keep playing the clarinet. I was going to do concert band, but I wasn't going to march. And then they finally convinced me, and I'm very,
well,
very glad they did because that like changed the course of my life for forever and
sure.
ever. But yeah, at that point, I was still a little stubborn about that because I think I really was figuring out that identity of like, am I a sporty girl? Am I gonna be a musical
Yeah.
kid? Am I, just who the heck am I? I wanted to be a meteorologist at that point. Or maybe that's
Really?
kind of the year that changed that because I realized that I science was not for me. Like I
Oh,
wanted to be on TV
same.
and talk about the weather, but once I learned that you had to like understand the Doppler radar and all the things, I was like, oh, maybe that's not me. But I think my favorite class in eighth grade would have been US history with Mr. Zook, who is just like an institution. He
Wow.
was an incredible educator, and I think it was just like, yeah, something about learning history, learning stories, like the way that he taught really connected it to me. The fact that, like, okay, I love reading books, but even when books are fiction, like they're based off real life,
Yeah.
to put it so very simply, I do remember that being just like one of the hardest classes too, because he was the real deal when it came to homework and it was it's a very strict teacher in some ways, but I don't know. I feel like I really enjoyed that class. And I'm
Yeah.
like now seeing the backs of the heads of the kids that sat in front of me too. And
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
I'm
It
having,
was,
when you said history class,
yeah.
I was trying to remember, like visually, the okay, what
Mm-hmm.
classes. I went to Clay Junior High
Mm-hmm.
and Carmel. There was Carmel Junior High and Clay Junior High.
Okay.
Actually, I went to both because we moved from sixth grade to seventh grade. Anyways, that's not important.
Mm-hmm.
But Clay Junior High, and I think my favorite class at the time was my social studies class, and he was a really great teacher. I am completely blanking on his name, but I know it'll come back to me. Um, and yes, I'm seeing the
Mm-hmm.
desks and putting my feet on the little book basket underneath. Everybody putting their feet up.
Yep. Yep. The girl with the long hair always ending up in front of you with her hair
Oh
spilling
yeah.
onto you.
Yep. Yep.
No,
Totally.
but
Totally.
I'll share one more tiny little tidbit story that you know it'll connect back to our point because I think we've talked for quite a while this evening.
Yeah.
But also in eighth grade, there was one other girl named Helen in the entire district, or I guess it's as far as I knew, but in my grade, like she happened to be, we were
Whoa.
in the same grade, two old ladies, old lady named Helen. We went to preschool together, went to separate grade schools, and then, kind of reunited at the junior high. And this boy that I had a crush on, one of his friends
Oh
told me,
no.
"Hey, did you know that such and such has a crush on you?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, like
Whoa.
it's happened. This is happening." And I think that kid told me on a Friday. We had this band contest on Saturday where we had to like stay at the school all day. Like we were hosting this thing, so like we were volunteering for the other schools, blah 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 blah. Blah. And I just remember because this kid was also in band, of course, because
Of course.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what goes without saying.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I'm telling the story very poorly, but I think you already
No,
know where
I'm in
it's
it. I'm in
going. The
it. I'm
fact
in it.
that, okay, so like that whole day, I'm like looking around for this kid, like, oh my gosh, is he gonna like, I think there was a dance coming up or
Oh,
something.
is he
Like,
gonna
is he gonna
ask?
ask me? Ba ba da ba da. End of the day, we learned that this kid is now dating the other Helen.
Oh
So that
no,
little
the other
stinker
Helen.
told the wrong Helen. And
Man,
yep, it was heartbreaking.
did she become your mortal enemy then? Or
No, we
no? Okay.
reunited. We reunited. He
Oh.
actually moved. He moved away
Oh,
at
well,
the end
see
of
you
that
later,
year.
guy.
Yeah, yep, it's true. It's like, yeah, no,
That is
craziness.
funny.
Yeah. But
Junior high
hmm
madness.
and that can be my curmudgeonly way of being like, that would never happen with phones today.
Right.
This
Well,
kind
yeah,
of
he would have gotten
sitcom.
on Snapchat and been
Uh-huh.
like, and everybody in the chat would have been,
Classic mix around.
yeah.
Character building.
Yes. Well,
And my
yeah, that
character
is part
continued
of
to
it.
build for many, many years of unrequited love.
Who hasn't been there, you know?
Oh my
But aren't you
gosh.
glad you lived that in real
Oh,
life
I
rather
absolutely
than, I
am.
mean, I know we have talked a while, but
Hmm.
just a brief moment of think of that on the phone, on
Yes.
the
And because
smartphone.
these are memories, right? These are memories of having
Right.
conversations and looking around the school looking for this boy
In
rather than
person.
like nervously fidgeting with my phone and waiting to get a text that I
Right.
because I had plenty of those things too, but I don't remember those. Those
Yeah.
those aren't like those aren't memories. Those are just
Yeah.
passing things that
It's the
happened on
in
a
person,
rectangle.
real life, the face to face. That's the stuff that you
Yep.
remember.
Hmm.
And I mean, we didn't even get into,
I know.
and you know what? Maybe this becomes like a part
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
follow up of what are, because yeah, I didn't talk about the impact I see on just
Hmm.
learning
Hmm.
and studying and study skills, like what
Yes.
the smartphone has done for that.
Yep.
So this is definitely a
Stay
continuation
tuned.
to be continued. I guess it doesn't have to be doom, like a
Da, da, da,
scary
da, da,
sound.
da.
Yeah, thank you.
Brian, write us music.
Brian, please write
I'm
us
just
music.
kidding. You're very
Oh,
busy.
yeah. Well, we're gonna
'Tis
have
the
to wait till the
season.
end of marching band
Yeah,
season
yeah.
for that to happen. But that's fine.
Yeah, no.
He's committed.
Oh, he's the
But
best.
yeah. So
Anyway,
all that to say, go to waituntil8th.org,
yes.
sign the pledge, um, join the face if you're here in Morton. Even if you're not, if you just want to see what's going on, that's totally fine. It's just me running the Facebook group. So wait until 8th dash Morton, comma IL
Hmm.
on Facebook. And I just I hope that it grows. I hope that
Hmm.
this school year it happens at least one school. And I
Hmm.
think that's totally possible. And if
Yeah.
you're listening to this
Yep.
and you see me out in real life,
Hmm.
you can come up to me
Hmm.
and say, I listened to this, or I've heard your podcast, or I saw your Facebook group.
Hmm.
Like, come talk to me in person.
Hmm.
I, I won't be freaked out.
Hmm.
Maybe.
And if you don't see us, leave us comments here because we
Yeah.
leave us
Yeah.
comments, ask us questions. If there's things you want
Absolutely.
us to keep covering, then certainly let
Yes.
us know. But until next time, we'll catch you on the
Catch you on the
flippity.
flippity flip.
Okay.
I was there. I was there with you.